northwestern European countries, then you definitely need a solid buffer. If you want to live somewhere else, like, hey, I work at Tommy Hilfiger, it sounds way better than to do that, you need to fill up X amount of. Hi guys, Megan here. So something happened last weekend. I just made my first 1,000 subscribers. To be honest, I thought it's gonna take way longer, so that was a very big achievement for me. To celebrate my first 1,000 subscribers, I wanted to make a special Q&A video. So I was asking some questions around on YouTube and also my blog. I got quite some questions. It was actually more than I expected. So I gathered 9 questions. Since I have a lot of things to say, let's get right into it. Of course, all the questions came in Korean, but I just wanted to do this Q&A video in English. So I also translated the questions as well. So first question, there are a lot of people who want to live and work abroad. What are the realistic factors they need to consider? This is a very good question. I think I already touched the subject a couple of times on my previous videos, but very briefly, so I would like to answer this again in a more constructive way. First is, of course, finance, the living costs. I would say build at least 6 months of buffer that you can survive without any income. It really depends on the country where you want to live in. If you're going to Philippines, Thailand, it's no problem, but if you are planning on coming to London or Amsterdam, for example, because Amsterdam's living cost is skyrocketing, or anywhere in Europe, northwestern European countries, then you definitely need a solid buffer. I just said 6 months, but of course, the more the better. However, my advice to this one is to not let it to stop you from leaving. Say you set a goal of like 10 months of buffer instead of 6 months. Of course, the difference is big, but the meaning of the difference in the end is going to be very trivial. So don't get obsessed with the amount of money that you want to build in advance, and don't let it to be an excuse for you not to leave the country. So in short, expect for the best, prepare for the worst. Second thing is solitude. So to start with, I would like to share my definition of loneliness and solitude. Loneliness to me is some kind of feeling that you feel more powerless within, something that you have to go through, not voluntarily to do so. Solitude is something that you actually enjoy, being by yourself, and you know how to deal with it. My advice on this is like become a person who enjoys solitude, and I'm gonna deep dive into this later because I got another different but similar question as well. The third realistic factor that you have to consider is career. Of course, this is the most important, hence I think this is the most frequent questions that I get, and there are so many things to discuss. I can make like multiple separate videos just out of this topic. So I would like to keep this very simple and generic and say only this. Once you make a step in, everything else that follows after is going to be very, very easy. Many fellow Koreans want to find a job first, sign a contract, and then move to that country that they want to live in. That's their ultimate dream, and that was my ultimate dream as well. It's a bit harsh, but it is very hard to achieve unless you are very high up executive level. For example, say there's Tommy Hilfiger located in Amsterdam. They have an open position and they are looking for someone, and you're the perfect match. Even if you are living in Korea, having Korean address and Korean number, in employer's perspective, you look like quite a job for them. Maybe they would think, oh my god, now we need to persuade this person to move to Amsterdam, on the top of persuading that person to work in that position for their company. You know what I mean? So drop the expectation of getting a job first and then move to the country, which feels like the most stable way. If you want to live somewhere else, pick a country, you move there first, and then start to look for an opportunity. That's going to be way, way easier. If you're postponing your moving plan just because you don't have the job there yet, it just becomes another reason for you not to do it. Second question, relating to getting a job / moving abroad questions. Are there other things you recommend people to consider when you're deciding to move abroad and actually work and live to create your life there? You have to understand that there are two polar opposite things. One is the future that you picture, that you actually want to pursue, and the other side is the life that you have to leave behind. Making choices, it opens up a lot of like possibilities, opportunities. It's very exciting. It feels like add-ups, but making choices also means that you have to give up. So think about what are the things that you have to give up before you make that big decision, and find a very strong reason for yourself to pursue what you want to have. Third question, how and why did you get a job at Tommy after working as a cabin crew? When I first moved to Amsterdam, I got a job immediately and I started to work already within less than a month, I remember. It was Korean dental implantation company and headquarters was located in Busan and they were trying to expand their market to Europe. So they set up an office here in Amsterdam. It was very small office, only like 3-4 people, and the salary was very bad. It was same exact Korean environment. There's nothing wrong with it, but I mean the hierarchical system, to me it was always a trouble. And on the top of that, I was the only person who could actually speak fluent English, so a big chunk of work was on my plate all the time, but they were always like getting 3 times or even more bigger salary than I did, which was quite unfair. So after working there for like 9 months, 10 months, something like that, I decided to leave. Of course, it's not going to be the easiest because at that point, my experiences were all spread out. So I really needed to create some relevancy in between all those jobs to be able to apply another office job. So I started to update my CV, cover letter, and of course my LinkedIn. And I just stumbled upon this position, merchandising coordinator at Tommy Hilfiger Menswear. No, Tommy Hilfiger Tailored, but within menswear. And yeah, I got a job. Of course, merchandise coordinator job is not really relevant to cabin crew job. There were not much things that I could use out of that stewardess experience. However, people always found it very fun and interesting that I flew for 2 years. I had another experiences like internship at Christian Dior Cosmetics and a secretarial experience at Hyatt Hotel. So I used all of them and it just worked. Merchandise coordinator job is an entry position. They didn't require so much from me as far as I proved that I could carry out the tasks. And why I picked Tommy, there is only one simple answer: just because it's a big company. As a foreigner, visa is super important to you. Without it, you can't stay in the country. So that's like your breathing air. To issue visa to foreigners, it's way bigger burden for smaller companies because of the costs and the procedures that they have to go through. But bigger companies, since they've been hiring foreigners a lot already, they have like set procedures and they know what to do, and they're not very stingy on giving visas out. So that was the very first reason. And the second is, again, yeah, big company, big name value. It's something that I could bring to my parents, let's say, like, hey, I work at Tommy Hilfiger. It sounds way better than, hey, I work at some kind of small company that nobody knows, you know, even if you make better money at smaller companies. I don't know, back then I was still caring so much about how I would come across to other people, especially my family. So that worked as my main causes, yes. Number 4, how did you approach getting complete different jobs across industries? I was actually feeling quite weak about my whole career path because it was, again, spread it out. I assume the intention of the question is because you want to make a drastic change in your career. What I want to say is, like, do not limit yourself just because you started from somewhere else. If you change your approach, there's always relevancy to discover. It is a headache, of course, to pull them out and carve into something that makes sense, but there's always going to be something that you can relate to. If you draw attention to those on your CV or your interviews, then it is going to work. Number 5, cafes, restaurants, Amsterdam eat places. Where do you get information? I try to share my 1 or 2 favorite places actually on every videos. Yeah, where do I get the information? Mostly from my friends. If you're planning on traveling Amsterdam, then I would recommend you to check out my previous videos and go to the places that I already mentioned, or else Google ratings, but it's not always accurate. In my opinion, especially for the recent 2 to 3 years, places in Amsterdam are so overpriced and overrated. I still go out, but I don't really expect too much anymore, so please keep that in mind. But of course, there are plenty of gems to discover, so I'll keep on introducing those in my videos, so stay tuned. Number 6. This is a little bit private question. Somebody asked, where did I meet my boyfriend? Tinder. I wouldn't imagine myself meeting somebody on Tinder if it were before, but it was Corona time, so everything was on lockdown for 2 years on and off. Hence, my lifestyle has changed a lot as well. I wasn't going out as much, not so many parties as well. I was only like making small group gatherings with my close friends. So I needed to step out of my comfort zone and expand my market. Our first date was very classy. We met in the park and we were just having a walk together. We had really nice shit over books, photography, life in general, work. Yeah, it went so good. So we continued on the second, third, fourth date, and here we are. And number 7, can I buy Unsale photography in Korea? The answer is going to be very short and clear. Yes, we are planning on doing the worldwide free shipping, so you would be able to. So for the ones who doesn't know Unsale yet, Unsale is fine art nude photography online gallery that I'm building. I always had this thirst about nude photography, not like pornography nude photography, but something more tasteful. So I decided to curate myself, sourcing artworks from different photographers and sell it worldwide. Website is almost ready, and I've been sharing the journey of building Unsale business as well on YouTube. Maybe by the time that I'm uploading this video, the website is on live. We'll see. I'll keep you updated. Number 8. So this is very deep question. How did you deal with difficulties dealing with everything by yourself? So I already discussed about the differences between loneliness and solitude. I think I mostly learned how to enjoy solitude from traveling alone. So back in university, I backpacked Turkey and Argentina by myself, a full month each. And of course, when I was flying for KLM, I traveled a lot by myself as well. The last time that I traveled by myself was in Sri Lanka before Corona time, so almost 3 years ago. Of course, when I started to travel by myself, I felt super anxious and lonely. But yeah, as time goes by, you got to learn how to deal with those feelings, and those negative feelings becomes more positive. It turns into courage or confidence. So on this, I would like to quote Damien. The bird fights its way out of the egg. The egg is the world. Who would be born must first destroy a world. Of course, if we go deeper, then there's like more profound meanings to it, but I think this really explains the gist. For everyone, there's a moment to break the shell around them, which means getting out of the comfort zone. To do that, you need to fill up X amount of suffer or struggle, but once you do that, you become bigger. You can actually start to fly. I think the experiences of traveling alone really grew me, toughened me inside. So when I really left Korea and started to live in the Netherlands, I didn't really feel fragile. I embraced the fact that I'm the person who's going to take care of me, not somebody else. Maybe at the beginning I was a bit too harsh on myself, thinking that I'm the only carer of myself. And it took me years to learn how to be warm, kind, and be good to myself. I think the most critical part of this is like you become a good parent to yourself. You have to discipline them, but you also have to comfort them, you know? And another little piece of advice is that you shouldn't be isolating yourself. I do believe the goodness in people. If you need help, then people are always going to be there. Poof! Last but not least, number 9. How do you deal with situations and people in a relaxed, mature way? I am quite clumsy myself, so I don't have a lot of advice to give out. I always try to look at things in a bigger frame, meaning remembering that we're mortal, remembering that we're very tiny living things in this world, in this galaxy. In this perspective, all of my struggles and problems, they look so trivial that I have more space in my mind. If I have more space in my mind, then I could deal with situations and people in a more relaxed, mature, better way. Also, don't forget to breathe. That's what I learned from doing yoga. I noticed that I stop breathing when I'm under stress, but above all, experience is a game changer. So, for example, think about the that you have to deal with for the first time in the office when you started to work. After years later, you experience more and you know how to deal with them, right? So experience is the key. Never say no to new experiences, good or bad. Put yourself out there. That's what I try to always remember for myself. Doesn't mean that I'm doing great. There are a couple more questions that I didn't answer on this video. I'll come back with another video. Hope you enjoyed it, and hope you guys didn't get annoyed with me speaking in English instead of Korean. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye bye!